Let's talk baseball, everybody, the real way. Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. I've got a very special guest. This is former Major League Baseball pitcher, Brandon Puffer. Okay. Welcome, Brandon. We're spending some time with us today. And again, this is a treat whenever we get somebody who come on here and wants to hang out with us and spend some time and give their perspective on baseball from the top. Okay. We have somebody who pitched in the major leagues, and that doesn't always happen. So I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. And this is the 161 Rev Rab. This is affectionately called by some people on the channel as the 161 Mafia.
Oh.
So we've got people here called Consigliere. We've got a Tom Hagen of the channel, the Godfather.
Oh, well, I'm a friend of a friend, so I'm good.
Yeah, we know some things. So
Yeah.
we work in sanitation. So that's right. But Brandon, welcome. Thanks for coming on and spending some time with us today. How you doing?
Yeah, my pleasure, Jason. I look forward to it. I always love talking baseball, and so I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, man. So, let's get right into it. I mean, have you always been a baseball player since you were a kid?
Yeah, I started when I was pretty young. I started when I was about probably 7 years old, and then just dabbled in a little bit of all sports growing up, and kind of worked my way back to more of a hard focus on baseball. Probably about high school, when I realized maybe I had an opportunity to take it further, and so really started taking it a little more seriously.
Nice.
Yeah.
I played high school baseball. My college didn't have a baseball program, and I transitioned to track. I was a double sport guy, baseball and track. So
Nice.
I played football in high school as a wide receiver. So, but baseball, I pitched and played center field.
I was about to say center field or middle infielder. You sound like you could run.
Yeah, I ran a 440, 360. I mean, a 440, 340. So
there you go. Yeah.
That was my claim. That's my claim to fame. Aside from my bench and pressing my 5 plates.
Ooh, that's awesome.
So, but where did you come from? Where are you originally from?
Yeah, I grew up in Mission Viejo, California, so Orange County, the southern part, for those who aren't familiar, and really, really cool because we had great weather year round. We could play a lot of ball, very competitive, a lot of good athletes in the area. So I felt very fortunate to get started out there.
California and Texas are great states for baseball.
Yes, I would say those two and Florida tend to spin out the top talent for sure.
A lot of great baseball players come out of these states, and a lot of the top, major league ball players, from fellow Yankees, Garrett Cole to A-Rod to a lot of other folks, come out of the state of California. So, and I love California. I actually have a friend of mine who's married to a former pitcher who pitched at UCLA. He was a former receiver in the major leaguers as well. His name was Hector Ambrose. He pitched for the Astros, the Guardians, the Diamondbacks. He pitched for UCLA, and awesome. The California connection there too. So it's always nice when I get to talk to somebody who has a different perspective at that level. So
absolutely.
What would you say is the thing you enjoyed the most about being a Major League Baseball player? Like what was the driving force there?
Well, I think coming up, it was just such a dream come true. You know what I mean? Like such a dream of mine that originally when my feet hit the ground in a major league clubhouse, I was just kind of floating on air for a while, trying to figure out like, hey, imposter syndrome. I'm a fan. I'm a guy that just loves to watch baseball with my family. And here I am, competing at it. I think also, once I got there, I really enjoyed trying to be able to encourage, youngsters, fans, whoever it is. It just kind of gave you that platform to be able to say, hey, dreams can come true, and you could speak life into other folks that have that kind of dream, right? Because I get it. The percentages are not great, and it's a tough road to hoe for sure. But at the end of the day, every roster is going to have their fair share of guys every year, and I like to tell young men and women like, hey, you never know. Why not you if someone's going to do it? So I thought that was cool. Kind of gave some validity to chasing that dream, and the fact that it took me a little while to get there with perseverance kind of helped me just to, like I said, encourage people more as a coach and a mentor after that.
What was it like for you to get the call?
Oh, man. I was in New Orleans. I was playing AAA for the Astros. And after a game, the manager called me into his office and gave me the news. And you just can't even imagine. It's just one of those things where, again, it's surreal. You're kind of an out of body experience. Is this really happening to me? And then I just kind of went out and went through the motions of packing my locker and saying bye to my teammates. And I don't really think it hit me until about a weekend. I took a flight to Cincinnati the next day. The Astros were on the road. Family came in. It was just all these firsts. And then about a week later, I mean, I didn't sleep for a week, any of that. And about a week later, was alone in my hotel. The family had gone on, and I just really like sat down and thought about it. I said, man, I can't believe this. I'm actually a major league ball player. And so it was obviously really, really neat and humbling.
That's awesome. And then to that, I mean, to piggyback on that, like, what was it like taking the steps up? I mean, I hear a lot of different stories. I mean, I'm hearing that it's the toughest transitions from high A to double A. Some folks say from double A to triple A. In your experience, would you say that's somewhat accurate?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the biggest differences, Jason, between those levels, and you probably heard this before, is just really consistency and the mental aspect of the game. I mean, you're going to have guys in A ball that are just as talented as guys in double A. And then once you get to double A, you got to kind of get a little more consistent and, kind of clean up your mental abilities, which again will make you more consistent. And then double A, what they say is when you're in double A, you're a phone call away and you're basically, it's like being in the big leagues. And then triple A adds a little different set of circumstances because now you have some older veteran guys along with the younger prospects so it's kind of a cool mix of those guys who have maybe been to the big leagues and they're kind of helping to mentor the guys trying to get there. And then I think at the end of the day, once you get to the big leagues, obviously it's the top league in the world for a reason. And it just really comes down to, again, just consistency. Like everyone there can do it, but can they do it day in and day out with the pressure and just the whole deal? So that's always when people ask that question, like, what's the difference? It's just consistency. It's just the guys who are up there for a long time have figured out a way to do it day in and day out.
Would you say it's the little things that you guys do at that level that are the keys to the longevity? Whether it be the stretching or the post recovery nutrition or whatever it might be, little things that people aren't necessarily talking about or thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, and I mean, even since I played, it's been a while. They've really kind of continued to progress with the nutrition and the way they kind of take care of their bodies and recover. There's all sorts of different ways to do it, and I absolutely do believe that. I think there's an old school kind of mentality sometimes of like baseball's a sport where you just go drink beer all night and go play. And it's like, no, you try that for very long and you run out of steam pretty quick. So most definitely. And I think that's why we're seeing such a high level of play and velocities and all these different things is it just continues to evolve with the off the field training and nutrition and recovery and all that good stuff.
You just brought up a very important point, velocity.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it starts I'm sure you've talked about this with other people too. It seems to be starting pretty early in school where kids are pushed to throw hard. Like, high school pitchers throwing 95s and so on and so forth. Is that a contributing factor to so many Tommy John surgeries?
I think absolutely. I think it absolutely is. And you're right. I mean, I have a program I coach now, and I've had high school kids throwing 100. We've got 8th graders throwing mid 80s right now. And yeah, it's crazy. And at the end of the day, it's a tribute to the workouts and the nutrition and all the advances that have been made. But at the same time, the ligaments, all the different things that you can't train just aren't able to support that. And I think there's no doubt that is. And here's the other thing, Jason, is it used to be if you get guys out consistently, you're just going to keep getting opportunities. Now, whether I'm helping a kid with a college recruiting process or pro scouts are asking about him, if I go, hey, I've got a pitcher, he's 6'3", 210, he's got a 0 ERA, he's the first thing they're going to say is how hard does he throw? And all the kids know that. They're learning that now. And so they feel like this is the only thing standing in my way of making it. So I'm going to go all out on my velocity. And two things happen. The pitchability aspect kind of goes out the window a little bit. You got guys that don't have a real good sense of the strike zone and command and the actual art of pitching. Not everybody, but on a whole. And then also the injuries. I think once they go chasing that quick velocity is when a lot of the Tommy Johns show up.
But does it make it harder for guys like Greg Maddux to find their way into the major leagues? Like, he, to me, is like the Da Vinci of pitching. He was the master artist with his blazing 82-mile-an-hour fastball, whatever. You couldn't hit the guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those guys, it's exactly right. It's artistry with him. I mean, there's a couple guys around still doing it, but it's funny. I don't know. And they said Maddux threw pretty hard in high school. I guess he did throw low to mid 90s in the beginning, and then he just kind of figured out he could back off and pitch and movement and all that good stuff. But yeah, I mean, it would be really hard to get let's say I coach 17-year-olds right now, and a bunch of them throw 82, 83. And it's really hard to get them noticed. Now, if they have that kind of Maddox movement and command and those things, eventually they're going to get an opportunity, but they're going to have to prove it for a lot longer. Whereas I can tell them, hey, I got a 6'4" guy that throws 97, and he has no idea where the ball's going. And they're like, yeah, we want that guy. So as a former pitcher, I'm like, man, pitch ability. And you know what, Jason, it's taking a little turn back. We're starting to see organizations, and a great example of this is the College World Series. I love watching the College World Series. And I know from experience, it's hard to get recruited unless you're throwing in the mid-90s. But then you turn on the College World Series, and a lot of the times it's those guys throwing 87, 88 that know how to pitch and throw strikes because you know what you're going to get out of those guys, right? This is a big game. We lose, we go home. I want somebody I know is going to be consistent and give us a chance to win.
So that reliability, I guess, consistency, even durability.
Sure.
Like, how else do you stand out if you don't throw that hard? Is durability the thing that makes you stand out? Like, and this is why, like, I think of guys like Roger Clemens and Nolan Ryan, like, obviously top guys, but these guys had legs the size of tree trunks.
Yeah.
These guys worked their lower body more so than most pitchers I've ever seen. So to me, it gave them a better foundation to have less arm problems.
I'd say absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, those two guys are such outliers that it's like, man, they're just freaks. But however, you're right. They were freaks of nature, but they also, Nolan Ryan working along with Tom House was one of the first guys to really implement the weight room and the physicality of being ready to pitch. Back then it was taboo for a pitcher to lift. And then Clemens, same thing. I got to be in spring training with him. And it's like his work ethic was, I mean, and this was kind of late in his career where he could have coasted. He could have said, hey, I've kind of done my thing here. But no, he was outworking everybody. And to your point, I mean, the physicality of that guy standing next to him was impressive. And I do think it's very important that all that stuff comes into play. Your legs transfer through the core, through the upper body, and you got to have all those things in place for your body to have a chance to. It's still dangerous, but to have a chance to remain healthy.
I've actually had the pleasure of meeting Roger Clemens
at
a Broadway show.
Wow.
I stood next to him in the urinal. We were both peeing at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is Roger Clemens. He was my favorite pitcher growing up.
Wow.
It was one chance to introduce myself, and I introduced myself after we peed, but like
after you wash your hands.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I don't want to introduce myself with that at my dirty hands. I mean, I was ushering at the Broadway theaters. I'm from New York, and I ushered in college to pay my way through school.
Yeah.
He came to see a show, and I said, "Oh my God, this is Roger Clemens." It was really cool.
Yeah, he's awesome, and he is massive. I didn't realize how massive he was until I was in the same area. I'm a pretty big guy. I was like, man, Clemens is huge.
I shook his hands, and they were halfway down my arm.
Yes, yes.
I just shook Grizzly Adams' hand. It's like crazy.
I know. I know. It's awesome.
Nathan's here. Hey, Nathan, what's happening, my man?
The legend.
The legend. Here he is. The man, the myth, and legend. So back to what you're saying too, like growing up. I mean, moving up through the system, and I'm sure there are a lot of high points, low points, and what helped you get through that stuff?
Again, yeah, there was plenty, and this I'm more going fast forwarding to like minor leagues and rookie ball and stuff like that. I had adversity in high school. I had an arm injury, had some shoulder surgery, things of that nature. I got in some trouble off the field, had to serve a suspension. So a lot of those things kind of started early where it was like, okay, without baseball, who are you? I just start taking a look at some of those things. And ultimately, for me, especially once I got to pro ball, it just came down to like just a rock solid, not all the time, but a mentality of this is the only thing I've ever wanted to do. And I'm going to persevere until every single team says I'm not good enough. And they just rip the jersey off of me. And that was my mentality. So when things popped up, like, I don't know, you have a couple bad outings in a row, or the travel's wearing on you, or you're homesick, whatever the case may be, I just always continued to focus on how fortunate I was to be in a position to be a pro ball player and even just be in a system, just this is my dream. And so I remember guys getting kind of grumpy about road trips and grumpy about bus rides. And I'm like, look, I'm guessing there's a lot of people that would love to be in your shoes, and you could probably go in and tell the manager and they'd send you home. And then when you really put it that way, it's like, no, I'm just complaining. I really want to be here.
That's where perspective comes into play. It's like
perspective. Exactly.
With all the teams that you played with, like it's having good team chemistry, having teammates you could lean on when you have bad times and whatnot is important. I think, a perfect partner in crime for a pitcher is a catcher. I would
Yes.
imagine you act as a part shrink too, right? Part head. I
Yes.
want to stay in your head and kind of keep you connected to the game so you can do your thing. So,
Yeah. No,
how,
absolutely.
how important is it the pitcher catcher relationship to you?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, it's huge, man. It's the catcher is the general. I mean, it's just such an important position, and just having that. I have a kind of a funny story about it. When I first cracked into the big leagues, Brad Osmus was our first catcher, and he's a
Wow.
veteran. He's an Ivy leaguer. The guy had his stuff together, right? So my mindset was, whatever Brad calls, I'm going to throw it. He knows what he's doing. Well, my strength, I was a sidearm guy, I had some movement. My strength was throwing inside a lot. And he wasn't calling that because he just wasn't. And I was getting hit around a little bit. And we were in the lunchroom and he said, hey, Puff, you usually throw in more? I said, yeah, that's all I do. He goes, well, why didn't you tell me that? And I'm like, well, you're Brad Osman. You're a veteran. I'm a rookie and you're pretty smart. And he's like, yeah, but this is your career. You know your strengths. And it was a great lesson in just being able to have that communication. Like even a guy like that, who is very sharp and does do his homework on hitters and all that. He doesn't necessarily know. I'm new to the team, and so it was just a really cool kind of back and forth. Him giving a rookie permission to go, hey, look, if you've got questions, take control of your career here. And so that's kind of something I like to tell other folks coming up. If hey, the catcher didn't call this, it's like, well, you got to communicate. You got to let them know.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Good point. I mean, I find catchers to be good generals, and they tend to be pretty solid managers too.
Absolutely.
Their ability to work the infield, and they see it. Even seeing from their position, you're seeing the whole entire field
Yep.
differently than everybody else is.
Absolutely. I think that's why there's so many major league managers that were former catchers for that very reason. They're locked in on everything. They're getting the perspective of the game. They're like a coach and, like you said, a general on the field.
Yeah. Now I got a big question for you.
Yeah.
Are you a gum or a sunflower seeds guy?
More sunflower seeds up until about like the fourth, fifth inning when I'm just hanging out in the bullpen. And a lot of bullpen guys like to flick sunflower seeds too. So that's a big thing. And then I'd usually put some gum in towards the end if I was getting ready to go in or something. But if I had to choose one during my career, it'd be sunflower seeds. And then even as I started coaching, I was pretty heavy on them. And a couple of years back, I just was like, man, I'm just tearing my mouth up. I kind of got off the sunflower seeds. I'm more of a gum guy now. But I love those sunflower seeds during our career.
Have you seen these guys now that are going around naming major league stadiums? They have their customized sunflower seeds, like a bunch of different flavors. They're offering them to the players right during spring training.
Is it a certain company?
Yeah.
Is it Chin Hook Seedery?
No, it's different.
Okay.
I have it right here, actually. But they're going around. They've got like cinnamon churro. They've got barbecue. They've got dill pickle. All these different flavors that they're offering to players. And the players are coming and sampling them right in front of them. And they're basically marketing their company and their product.
Yeah, ironically, there's a company out of Austin area where I am called Chin Hook, and they kind of do the same thing. Like they have a French toast brand. And they gave me some samples to kind of share with my program at one point. They were pretty solid.
That's cool.
Yeah,
these guys are definitely making a name for themselves right now.
That's awesome.
My sunglasses, and they're getting, they're asking specific questions. What do you think of this? How does it apply to this? And so on and so forth. And the players are really, they seem to like it.
That's
so
awesome.
I'll get the name for you, and I'll get it to you.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
On my phone here, but I think you might find it interesting.
Absolutely.
Are the kids that you coach, and I see them in the background, was it Coach Puff Positive right there behind you?
Which way am I turning? Yeah, Coach Puff Positive, yeah.
Love that. I love, this is one reason I connect so well with NFE and Nithin and Maz and them, because it's always a positive outlook where we're talking. We don't deny the facts, we don't deny the reality, but at the same time, positivity has the same amount of letters as negativity.
Yeah.
Side, right?
It's a choice, absolutely.
So I'd rather choose the better side. And
me too.
And it's the same thing with hate and love. It's 4 words, 4 letters.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, I love that. I never thought of it like that.
Friends, enemies, the same amount of letters. Choose one side.
Yeah.
And this is the outlook and this is why I connect so well with these guys, and why I love having folks like you on here who have that same energy. And I'm building it. I'm trying to, I'm building a solar company right now myself with some other people who are trying to find out a way to make a difference too.
Yeah.
Making a difference is really important to us in a way that puts people in a position to make the impact. So, which is kind of cool.
Very
So
neat.
I
Love that.
appreciate you sharing from this insight with us because it's really, really impactful. So,
Absolutely.
go back to you said you had some adversity. Like for every knockdown, there's a get up story. There's a Rocky Balboa story, right?
That's
So,
right.
and I've been knocked down too, and gotten up, knocked down, gotten up. It's how many times you get up. So, is that? I mean, is relative to baseball? How do you equate that to? Is it the same type of thing where you have the support system in baseball at every level, or does it not apply?
It does apply, but you have to be very intentional about kind of seeking that out. I'm very fortunate that I'm a tight knit family. A lot of positivity, a lot of encouragement. My mom is a pastoral care pastor, so it's like,
Cool.
yeah, it's really cool. I mean, from a spiritual standpoint, she's amazing, but also just from a standpoint of her whole life is revolved around helping folks through traumas like deaths or whatever, just serious stuff. People come to her, and so it's been really cool to always have her to lean on. Hey, times are kind of tough, or whatever the case may be. And then, yeah, kind of picking out those teammates or staff members on each team that, you can trust, right? And you can go to them and say, I'm having some issues, I'm having some problems. And one of my bigger downfalls happened because I didn't want to admit that I was having problems or issues or struggling. It was like, put up that front and just kind of, we're athletes and let's get through there, men, or whatever the case may be. And let's get through this. And that really was a detriment to me. So now I'm very intentional about like, hey, I'm struggling, or if you guys are struggling, raise your hand and get it out there, and it'll lose its power rather than just letting it fester inside and work on you.
Here we go. It's smacking. Here it is. Somebody, Lou, Mark Percy, smacking sunflower seeds.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I hadn't heard of that.
Check them out. There's their YouTube, they're on TikTok. You'll see them footage of them going to each team.
Cool.
It is awesome.
They need to get a Merc So Saucy flavor.
We do. We need to get a Merc So Saucy.
Yeah, heck yeah.
That's the name right there, dude. That's the name. You did trademark that name right there. That name is legit.
Big league. It's big league.
Yeah. So, but like, was there ever a time where you had to like lean on mom as a professional baseball player at that level to get her to help you get through stuff?
Yes, for sure. I had and not even like pertaining to baseball necessarily. It's funny because like if I had baseball issues or was struggling on the field, it was more dad. It was more dad. Like, hey, but if it's life stuff, like real important. Like for instance, I had a son at a pretty early age, and my family was helping me raise him as I played baseball, and so mom was just there for both of us. And if I was homesick, we didn't come from a lot of money. Like I said, she's a pastor, and she would bring my son out to visit me, and just like so many different ways where they encouraged me along the way. And, I played 15 years, and there's no way without their support and help with my son and all the different things that I could have, persevered through all that. So yeah, having that support system at home is huge. Like I said, there's always one or two guys in the clubhouse, that locker room, that you can lean on. Some of the guys are just, they're awesome. They're fun. You love them to death, but if your back's against the wall, they might not be your guy, but you always got a couple there that are there for you.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. I think like, and I'm a longtime martial artist, and and even in sports, like so often is this facade that puts out if you admit some type of problem, it's seen as a weakness.
Absolutely.
And it's not necessarily. The strongest people are open to admit their issues and so on and so forth, and confront them. So like, it's not a weakness at all. So
I agree, and more, folks are coming out and being very verbal about that, which is giving other people permission to do the same. One that stands out to me right now, and he was a fellow martial artist, is Jay Glazer. He's got a podcast on mental health, and he's having folks on. I listen to him all the time, and it's like he's saying the same thing. He's like, "Look, I'm tough. I'm a fighter. I could probably kick your butt." He's like, "But I have issues, and it doesn't make me weak if I admit them, and I'm struggling." And so I just love that more and more people are getting out in front of that and going, "Hey, I struggle," and I've started to try to like glean a little bit of encouragement from him and do the same, and just gives more and more people, like I said, permission to raise their hand and go, "Yeah, hey, me too. I'm struggling."
And it makes it relatable too.
Sure.
I've been through the mud with you. Like I've been through the mud you have. I've been lucky enough to find the path through it. I want to help you navigate there too. Like, it's an important thing, and in so many different ways. So I encourage folks to don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask. Like
100%.
Now, of all the cities you've traveled, as a baseball player, what would you say has the best food?
Oh man, that's food. Gosh, that's a tough one. Kind of depends on what we're looking for, right? They all have their own little special niche.
What's your favorite food?
Gosh, I'm like a chicken parm, like Italian type guy.
The
You know,
good.
I saw some really cool Italian restaurants in Chicago. Obviously, New York's got a little bit of everything. Philly cheesesteaks in Philly are a must. You got to go try those. So yeah, I tried to just kind of wherever I was go with, okay, what can I not get at home? What can I get here that I'm not going to get back home? And so just kind of going along the lines of, okay, what are they known for? Let's go try that. And so, yeah, like I said, like, some pizza in Chicago as well as New York, cheesesteaks. You get to the West Coast, you get some good seafood, that kind of thing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm with you with the New York and Italian food, the cheesesteaks, California, the seafood, the sushi.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I like
Barbecue
sushi
in
as
the
well.
Midwest, Texas, Midwest barbecue, Missouri, Kansas
Yeah,
City, like ridiculous barbecue.
absolutely.
You definitely take time to enjoy the food wherever you're at.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. The culture, the food, the whole deal. Yeah, and then man, I played winter ball in Venezuela and Puerto Rico, and I
Oh,
just fell in love with the culture of their food and their music and everything
oh,
about it. I loved it.
Spanish food.
Love it. Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Yeah. Rice and beans, skirt steaks, all that stuff.
So good. Yes.
Maduros. And, oh, man, it's so
The Maduros are the best.
fantastic. Have you tried the tostones where they splat them?
Absolutely. Yeah. All of it. All of it.
I can go on. We can go on talking all day about food.
Hey, yeah. I'm getting hungry, man.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say your favorite cities to play in and your favorite stadiums to play in?
Yeah. So I get asked that question a lot. I told someone the other day, PNC Park happened to be my favorite stadium in Pittsburgh.
Beautiful.
Just like the surroundings, the amenities, just everything about it was great.
Great team.
Now, of course, you've got Wrigley Field and Fenway Park with their history, and just you think about the ball players that have walked through those tunnels, and it's really cool. And then for me, being a West Coast guy, I grew up a Dodger fan. My dad forced me, but I just, the first time I got to, enjoy Dodger Stadium, where I grew up with, watching games with my dad from the inside, the field and the locker room and all the family come in and stuff, was really, really cool experience for me and my family. Couple of the minor league cities, Austin. I mean, I ended up moving to Georgetown, which is just a little bit north of Austin. I love that area so much I made it home. And then Boise, Idaho, as well as Nashville, Tennessee, were a couple of my favorite towns.
Nashville's a great town. That's where Vanderbilt is, right?
Yep, exactly. We're actually playing a tournament there end of this month. We'll play at Vanderbilt, and my brothers has since moved there, so we spend a lot of time there, and it's a beautiful place.
That's a great baseball program too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious. I can't. I mean, what do you think of it? Like, since you've played, what's changed in the game that you like and that you don't like?
Yeah, a lot seems to have changed, and I don't want to sound like some old cantankerous old coot going, "It's our game," but I think a couple of things I don't really like about it, and it's just me. I could take heat for it, but a lot of the showing up your opponent, a lot of the showboating, and the let the kids play type stuff. Just for me, just the respect for the game and your teammates and your opponents. And I think a lot of the reason for that is because it used to kind of be handled within the game, like within the team. If you did something that was showing up your opponent, you're probably going to be dodging some baseballs your next time up to bat, and you're less likely to do that kind of thing. And so now it just seems like a little bit of that has gone away. Gosh, I mean, everything else is good. I mean, I don't like the TV stuff. I'm not a business guy. I get it's all about money, but like not being able to watch your favorite team. Like for instance, my dad, he's still in Southern California. He can't turn on and watch the Dodger game. It drives him crazy. And so stuff like that is just, it's so corporate. And again, I understand that this thing is driven by a lot of money and all that, but yeah, just things like that make it a little less pure in my mind, the way I look at it.
I mean, we vent about it all the time. We've got 20,000+ subscribers on this channel, but it's so frustrating because it's just for the Yankees, you need 5 memberships to watch the game.
Yeah.
You subscribe to this, to that, to this, and it's blocked here, it's blocked there. Instead of used to be WPIX or whatever it was. Like, I wish it was just that way. Here's one channel of the S Network that everybody can get access to, but like there's parts in New York where you can't even get access the local channels. Like, this is New York.
I
I'm
know.
in, I'm in Guam and I can get it, but I'm in New York and I can't.
It's crazy.
Absolute insanity. So
Yeah, that kind of stuff drives me nuts. And for the main reason of like you just said, like kids trying to get involved in the game. Like I got involved in this game sitting on my dad's ottoman next to his recliner watching local games, Dodgers or Wrigley, Cubs were on WGN, TBS was the Braves, and we always had a game to watch. And that's how I grew up watching it. Now, I mean, yeah, you can get MLB Network, and there's some other things that we have access to that we didn't back then. But just that the purity of watching that local team every night on your local channel.
Yeah, like so, Jonathan's my prime minister of valuable information. He WPIX and MSG. Those are the local, those are the channels. I mean,
Yeah.
like, now it's Peacock, Amazon Prime, Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
All these.
I know.
You're paying $200 a month for subscriptions just to watch your favorite team.
Right. Yeah. That bothers me. I don't like that.
What's your take on, as a reliever, from a reliever, what's your take on the ghost runner in extra innings and the 3-man minimum, 3-batter minimum?
Yeah, not a fan of the ghost runner at all. I'm like, this is Major League Baseball. You can't just throw a guy out there. I can't do it. I've warmed up to some things like pitch clock and some other stuff like that. But that one I don't like. And then, the 3-batter minimum, I'll tell you, I get it, but I don't like it. And as a right-handed sidearm guy, it was tough for me. And now anyone who wants to share the other, side of that, I just say, hey, get better at getting lefties out, which I get. But it eliminated a lot of those jobs for those left-handed specialists and guys like that. It made a really good career, really good living out of just coming in situationally. And, a lot of the strategy was different. So again, I just tend to buck change in general. So that's one of my, sometimes maybe one of my downfalls. But yeah, I still have a hard time with that. Again, if you're pitching in the major leagues, yes, you should be able to get right-handers and left-handers out. So that's on me that I wasn't very good at getting lefties out. But that would have been tough for me as a right-handed sidearm guy, kind of a specialist.
Yeah, and honestly, I think as a relief pitcher, the ghost runner puts you at a disadvantage. Like, you don't go at second automatically. You get 2 sac flies and 2 tag ups, you get the loss. If it's not fair.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one. I can't warm up to that one.
I don't like it either. I mean, at the very least, they could have tiered it in a way, like extra innings, run on first for the 10th and the 11th, and then maybe transition to second if you get up to the 12th and 13th, something like that, to make it more gradual for the relief pitcher.
Right? Yeah, well, so at the level I coach, high school kids, they go bases loaded, 1 out. I'm like, man, but I mean, yeah, bases loaded, 1 out. We got to actually, because same thing. It's like they've got more money to make because there's more games they got to play. They got to hurry up. So it's just like boom, boom, boom. I'm like, and again, it's high school kids, fine, we'll deal with it. But like at the big league level, this is a big deal, These
are difficult situations to, like, sometimes you're walking into a hornet's nest. It's like, what?
Yeah,
how am I going to deal with this?
Yeah,
I got the fastest guy in baseball on second right now. It's like, this is
That's
tough, and I
it's
can
a tough
do
one.
extremely well, and still take the loss, and that's unfortunate. And Jesus, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Appreciate it. And let's go. The king is here. That's right. I take the same thing with the ghost runner and the catcher interference blocking situation now at home plate. They're not allowed to have pro protection at home plate. I find that a little intrusive on the catchers too.
Gosh. I'm glad you mentioned this. I just saw a replay today. I think it was Lindor, a tag play at second on a stolen base. He's just on the side, just drops the tag, and they call him safe. And at this point, I don't think catchers, middle infielders, especially catchers, I don't think anyone really has clarity on the rule. It's like it's called one way this day, and the next day it's this way. And as a catcher, just tell me what the rule is so I can adapt and adjust to it. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not for – when I played, they were smashing catches back to the backstop, and it was dangerous. And I get a little bit of safety involved. I'm all for that. But I mean, as far as there's been some calls overturned, really big situations, at the plate, and they're dead to rights, they're out, and it's like, oh no, he was blocking the plate or he didn't have the ball, and it's like, use a little feel here. That didn't affect this call, and so yeah, some of that stuff is starting to affect the game's outcome a little too much. It's kind of taking it out of the hands of the players. And so that's another good one. And again, it was fresh today on my mind because I saw that tag play at second of Lindor, and I'm like, what is he supposed to do? There's nothing else he can do. The runner was visibly like, come on, I'm not safe. I mean, it's just a tough one. Those are tough.
It's funny. I asked AJ Przinsky, former catcher,
Yeah.
uh, this same question. He's an old school player, old school
I know,
collisions, and
I know AJ.
he was not a fan of it either. And it's almost as if the game has gotten intentionally soft there.
Right. For sure.
I
Yeah.
understand protecting players. I understand we don't want to turn to the UFC. I get it.
Yeah.
There are ways you can do it without what do you call it, punishing a player for crashing into a catch or something like that. Again,
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
on. I miss the contact, the human element of that part.
I do too. I mean, I just, again, and to the point of like, I don't even know if the catchers have clarity on what's called and what's not. They just have to kind of guess and hope it goes their way. And fun fact, AJ was my first pro ball catcher ever when we were 18 in rookie ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. This guy's an old school catcher. And heaven forbid you or AJ argue balls and strikes now. It's almost an automatic ejection. That's another thing that I have a issue with. It's like, if this is a ball, you should be able to contest it. Like if this is way out and you should be able to contest it.
Yeah, and they're getting there. They tried that in the independent leagues with you can actually contest ball strike call, and I don't know how it went, but I have a feeling it's coming soon to where you can do that.
I know that they're looking at robot umps, but I mean I'm a bigger proponent of retraining for umps. Train them, let them get better at their craft, right?
For sure.
Doctors have to recertify. A lot of folks have to recertify their craft. Different, but this is baseball, and 100 mile an hour is fast when it's coming your direction. So from all these angles and being able to identify the right strike zone,
it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. So I think retraining is an important thing that should be incorporated in the umpire world.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Yeah, I agree.
What else do you think if you had to change a rule or add a rule to baseball, if you think that would make it better, but what do you think it would be?
Man, that's a good one. That's a tough question on the spot there.
You're like an ambassador to the game, so like I think folks that are able to, I appreciate folks who are willing to talk so openly. So that's when I ask the type of question. It's to me, I would get rid of the ghost runner rule. In all honesty,
yeah.
I would move on from it.
Yeah, so I guess if we're talking in that vein, based on what we just talked about, gosh, I would probably right now the big one is the one we touched on with the tag rules. It's just too vague. I mean, I can't watch another play, dictate how a major league game goes based on a clear play at the plate. Yeah. Guys out. It didn't affect the play. Like there weren't bang bang. There was not going to be a collision or anything like that. It was just a very simple play. And then they overturn it because they say the catcher had a foot in front of the plate or whatever. So I guess that's the one that's been kind of firing me up the most lately. Because again, when I see the play, I'm like, there's times where even the runner, you can tell by his body language, is kind of surprised, like, what? They just called me safe? So,
it's obvious to us on TV. It's like, there is no way.
Yeah.
It's like, and I know we're running close short on time here. So I've got one last question for Ken. This is Brendan, when you were pitching in the majors, did you load a baseball with spider tack, pine tar, sweat, snot, or anything? Ken asked very unfiltered questions. So
I love Ken. Ken's been on a couple more.
He's the man.
Instead of going Rafael Palmeiro on you and saying, I never pitched without that stuff. Not one time. I always loaded up my glove with pine tar, firm grip. I was in the minor leagues one year, and I was big on wearing the same hat all year if I was pitching well. And my hat was nasty. After the All-Star break, they give you a new one. And I had pine tar all over the bill. And I walked out, and had a good rapport with some of the umpires. And I'm walking to the bullpen, and I said, hey, how's it going, Bill? He's one of our umpires. He said, hey, Puff, think you need a new hat? And I said, no, I like this one. He goes, no, I really think you need a new hat. And I kind of got the hint, like, oh, okay, you're giving me a heads up. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. When they changed that, I was obviously done pitching, and I've talked to some guys, and they try to find other ways to do it. But that ball can get slick, and when you're out there competing against the best, and you can't get a grip on the ball, it's happened to me a couple times, even with all that stuff. I remember one time we were in Arizona, and it was really dry, and the balls felt powdery, and it's just a helpless feeling. And I'll be honest with you, to your point, rules that we would maybe change, checking the guy at the line and all that. I don't think the hitters care. Every hitter I talk to, hey, we'd rather where the ball's going. Now, if it's creating a bunch more spin and it's advantageous in that way, okay, I kind of get it. But at the end of the day, they're like, hey, we have pine tar on our bat so we can fill our bat. We want you to have a grip on the ball. And so, yeah, I would say that, yes, I used it literally every time I ever pitched. And that's another rule that I would say, hey, give these guys something. I've actually heard guys say that could also be contributing to some of the arm injuries because guys aren't able to feel the ball. So they've got to get tense and get a grip. And that could have a factor.
True. I'll leave you with the last question. I want to save the best for last. Mikey Mazza here.
Yeah.
What do you think about the whole gambling issue that's going on with baseball now?
Oh gosh, I hate it. I hate it. I hate that the best hitter we've ever seen is banned for life, and then now
Best
the most hits, bar none, will never be changed. And then now every advertisement, marketing, they're making money off it. And of course, I'm not for players betting, especially within baseball. Of course not. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, if that's the case, and we're going to have a hard line on this, I mean, we're talking lifetime bans, then why are we marketing all the betting, and why are we making so much money off the betting within the game? So that's the part I would love to see it all just gone. I've never been a gambler, so it's not my, it's not my thing. So I don't really know what that feels like to want to do that. But at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, if you're gonna take a hard stance on gambling, then don't come around the other side and market it and make money off it.
Yeah, this Ohtani situation is ugly. That's all I can say.
That's a tough one.
I don't know, but I'll end with this. He's one of baseball's cash cows.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be protected no matter what.
I agree. And I'm a Dodger guy. He's got that pure image, but at the end of the day, the size of those bets, we all know that nobody. I mean, you guys are a mafia yourself. You know how this works, but they're not taking those kind of bets unless they know who's backing that. So
exactly, and his story changed from one day to the next. So I don't know how much. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's coming from a Dodger fan who does not want to see him miss a day. But I'm like, come on, man. It takes common sense to know that they weren't letting his translator do those bets of that size without some backing.
Yes, indeed. Well, I'll leave you with this, gang. I just ordered your book on Amazon.
Awesome.
Super Pen. So I can't wait to read it. And I'd love to have you back on so we could talk about it if you want to do that. That'd be a lot of fun. And folks, if you don't know, Brandon wrote a book, Bullpen to the Super Pen, talking about his history, okay, and the adversity that he dealt with and the comeback story and everything that goes along with it. I encourage you folks to take a look at it and read it. I'd love to have you on as well so we can ask some questions. So, Brandon, Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate the time. It's a great pleasure to have you on. Love the answers. You're always welcome on this channel, and I appreciate you. So by the way, happy belated Father's Day, too.
Thank you so much. Same, are you a father?
Yeah, I've got 3 daughters.
Back at you, brother. Happy Father's Day. I really enjoyed my time. Saw some familiar names in the chat, and I really enjoyed this group. So I hope you all have a great day.
This group's awesome. Brandon, have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Thank you too, buddy.
Take care. All right. So, thanks for coming on and joining that. I hope you enjoyed the conversation I had with Brandon. He was limited for time. He had a hard stop at 2022, so we went a couple extra minutes. But I saw that, Ken. You think that bothers you? That bad flips and showing pitch. Yeah, like I said earlier, like guys like Roger Clemens and Nolan Ryan, they would throw at your head. And like Roger Clemens, who's going to charge Roger Clemens on the mound? He'll stand there and look at you like, yeah, come on, charge me on the mound. Come on, good luck. Right? Nolan Ryan, people who did charge him paid for it. He beat the crap out of Robin Ventura. So, these guys they weren't afraid to throw at you. And that's old school baseball right there. That's why I appreciate, the perspective that Brandon brought. Appreciate what AJ Przinsky brings, right? And I always appreciate all the kind of questions you folks ask. And I couldn't get to all of them. My apologies, but I tried to get as many as I possibly could. But thanks so much for coming on. Again, I'll be back later on with the Yankees lineup once it comes out. We got the Orioles. And if you haven't heard, Garrett Cole's back on the mound tomorrow, Juneteenth. Tomorrow's my birthday, so it's going to be a great birthday present, too, for me. So I'm very much looking forward to watching Garrett Cole pitch tomorrow. Today, let's see who's pitching today. Before I leave, I'll give you the pitching matchup if we know if it's out already. The pitching matchup tonight, Cade Povett. No, wait, that's tomorrow. I'm already fixated on tomorrow's game. Today is Albert Suarez, 3-0, 161 versus Nestor Cortez, 3-5, 359. So that's what we have today. So we're going to need, Cortez to be good. he's better at home than he's been away. So that's what we have right now. Yeah, I mean, same, Ken. Baseball is raised on the same here. Old school, baby. Old school. Back in the day where you handle business with these instead of needing to go shoot up schools and whatever. Well, that's besides the point. So you know what I mean. But it's true. But thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all coming on. That was a fantastic conversation. Can't wait to do some more. Nitin, thank you so much for orchestrating this and setting this up. I really appreciate you too, brother. Have a great day, everybody. See you tonight.